and welcome to another episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Carbondale, Illinois. I am in Woodlawn Cemetery, also known as Carbondale City Cemetery. But this is one of the first places where Memorial Day was held, and in fact one of the first in the country, and Illinois as well. I mean, a lot of sources point to this anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple markers here and a couple grave sites, so here we go. So on Logan Street, there's a parking lot here where anyone can park, and this one was dedicated by the Illinois State Historical Society as well as the city of Carbondale in 2001. Let's see what it says. On April 29th, 1866, over 200 veterans and several thousand citizens gathered at Woodlawn Cemetery to honor those who had died in the Civil War. General John Logan delivered the keynote address, saying, "Every man's life belongs to his country, and no man has the right to refuse when his country calls for it." This memorial service influenced Logan, as Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic, to issue GAR General Order No. 11 on May 5th, 1868. This order instructed his comrades to observe May 30, 1868, and successive May 30th as Decoration Day, by strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion. So a lot of people are probably wondering, like myself, so why May 30th? Now some sources say it was because that was the time that flowers would bloom in the north. I mean, that could be a very possible factor. And now, this one I believe was erected by the cemetery. This one highlights all the famous interments here. Well, John Logan is not buried here, but I'll explain more on that later. But this one kind of says the same thing as the other one. It talks about the first memorial service in Illinois, one of the first in the nation. And they gathered at the old Blue Church. Okay, that one was not said. But the city of Carbondale does continue to honor this custom by conducting an observance in Woodlawn Cemetery every Memorial Day. So that'll be in a couple weeks, because this is mid-May. Woodlawn Cemetery was placed on the National Register of Historic Places on December 19th, 1985, and was designated a Carbondale Historical Landmark on March 8th, 1994. So I'll go ahead and show you a few of these, and if I'll go ahead and see if I can try to find these. Now, Daniel Harmon Brush, he is the father of Carbondale. Well, he is the founder, at least. I don't know about calling him the founder, the father, but who knows. But yes, Carbondale was created as a result of the Illinois Central Railroad, and you know, Brush purchased land between two stations planned for DeSoto and Maconda, with the hope that he could persuade the railroad to build another station. Brush was successful and named the new town Carbondale. He died on February 10th, 1890. And I will show you his grave. There's Dr. William Richert. Now, he is one of the co-founders of Carbondale as well, along with Asgill Connor, who is right here. This one's a little mystery. Well, it says mystery of the sarcophagus. And here are some more notable people that are buried here, like Edmund Newsome. There's the freed slaves marker, Lewis Chambers, and James Monroe Campbell, and Alexander M. Jenkins. John Logan, on the other hand, he is not buried here. For anyone who does drive around southern Illinois, you'll notice right away there are plenty of historical monuments dedicated to him, and as it says on here, he was a very prominent figure during the United States Civil War. He supported Stephen A. Douglas and bitterly attacked Abraham Lincoln. After the Civil War, however, he became a Republican, and I mean, his political views totally changed. He was originally a Democrat, and in fact, in 1884, it says here, Logan was an unsuccessful vice presidential candidate, teaming up with James G. Blaine on the Republican ticket, but lost to Grover Cleveland. He is buried at Soldier Cemetery in Washington, D.C., and I believe that is a national cemetery. I mean, I believe so it is. And Logan, of course, has a college named after him. I also been to the site where he got married, which is in Old Shawneetown, Illinois. That's like right on the Ohio River. And then a little history about Woodlawn Cemetery. It was designed by Daniel Brush, no other than. And it contains over 400 grave sites, many Union and Confederate soldiers. Wow. And the last burial occurred in 1954, 100 years after it was founded. So pretty much, in other words, no new burials here. All right, now we're going to go ahead and walk around into the cemetery area, see what we can find here. And here is what is known as the freed slaves marker. Let's see what it says here. This corner of the cemetery is sacred to the memory of 30 freed slaves who rest here. Their names unknown. They died of smallpox in 1864, soon after coming from the south to Carbondale. Very interesting. As the marker was saying, there are lots of old stones out here, and some have deteriorated, like this one. Here's another as well, and there's another. So now I'm at the north end of the cemetery, and this right here is westbound Highway 13, which is also known as the John Logan Memorial Way. And so this one is pretty much just a stone that says it was placed on the NRHP, I call it, the National Register of Historic Places, in other words. And this one's kind of similar, although it talks more about the dedication anniversary. And then the flagpole. By the Woodman of the World. That over there is a duplicate marker of what we saw over at the west end. But over here is kind of a different one. It's 1949. In this cemetery was held the first memorial service to the Civil War veterans, April 1866, which inspired General John Logan, a citizen of Carbondale, to issue General Order Number 11 as Grand Commander of GAR, establishing National Memorial Day, May 30th, 1868. Also at the north gate is a memorial to all the unknown soldiers buried in this cemetery. And as we approach the center of the cemetery, here is another memorial. Now this one is a memorial to Dr. William Richert, who is, it says here, he is not buried here, but he's buried in Snyder Hill Cemetery, one of the founders of Carbondale, with his wife. He's buried with his wife at Snyder Hill. This is the final resting place of Daniel Brush, right here. And again, that's kind of hard to read as well. And here's his military. And just a few steps from Brush's grave is the final resting place of Captain John Asgill Connor. This guy did help promote and help found and build Carbondale, along with William Richert and Daniel Brush, and he owned some property where the First United Methodist Church in Carbondale now stands. And this one's kind of held up well, even though it's very difficult to read. But I am glad they have this. Let's see what the back says. Okay, nothing. And also there is, in the gated area, it is J.M. Campbell, See, it even says it on the gate. This is the grave of Edmund Newsom, who is mentioned on the marker. Thank you so much for tuning into this special episode of Historically Marked. This is a Memorial Day special, also a Cemeteries with Markers themed episode. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit about the state of Illinois and among many others, and learned about a few new personalities. So, all right, well, I'm Jason at Woodlawn Cemetery in Carbondale, Illinois, signing off.